So everything's going great. I've got a bench, I've got a wall, I've got an outlet. Ugh. Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop, and I am in the middle of doing my shop renovation. I just built a new bench. I'm going to be covering this whole wall in tools, but unfortunately smack dab in the middle of my new set is an outlet. Doesn't work very well in a hand tool shop. On top of that, I've really been wanting to build a logo for myself other than the one on the front of my bench. So we made this. A friend of mine from Michigan gave me this beautiful piece of Walnut Burl. It's actually book matched, so one half matches the other half. I really like how it is. I like the color, I like the shape, and thought this would make a great logo. So I actually wanted to show you a little bit of what I'm doing for carving, and then we can cover up that outlet. This is a piece of Walnut Burl that was given to me by a good friend in Michigan, Michigan woodworker if you want to look him up. But it's a really kind of a cool piece with book matched, and I've been wanting to make a logo out of it for a while, and I finally got the impetus and well, chance to do so. So I'm going to be backing this with gaff tape so that I can fill it with epoxy. I'm going to be using a clear West System epoxy as opposed to putting any dye in it this time. I want to see the voids, and I kind of like how it comes out. Gives it a little bit of contrast with so much in there. I'm also going to spread it out all the way along the piece, so I'm kind of stabilizing it a little bit, letting it soak in, and getting the entire front face soaked with epoxy. Then I can hit it with a torch and pop any of the bubbles, allow it to kind of settle in and give it a nice clear surface. After that, I can glue this down to a backing board so that I can do my carving. But before I do the carving, I want to clear off all this excess epoxy so that it is, well, wood and not epoxy on the top. And I'll just use a hand plane to clear it off. Sometimes I'll use a card scraper, but this time I wanted to use a hand plane because I love these epoxy curls. They're just kind of beautiful, almost plasticky. And yeah, the other thing you're going to notice is that my bench is wobbly. That's because it got moved off of its spot on the floor, and my floor is uneven. Once I put some more weight on it, it won't be moving around so much. But yeah, I still have more work to do on my bench. So I want to put a pattern down for carving, and I choose to just use a glue stick and glue the pattern straight down. I know a lot of people have issue with this. Some people prefer other methods. This is just the method I like, and it comes up fairly easily with a card scraper. I don't have any problem with the pattern moving around while I'm working on it, and I really like just gluing it down with a glue stick. It's simple, it's quick, and it goes fairly quickly. Next, I need to start carving. I'm using a V chisel to carve all the way around the circle. Carving the circle can be difficult in keeping a nice straight clean line, but if you do a little bit of a time, I'm not going full depth. I'll come back in and clean out some, and I'll make it full depth later. But one key to it is keeping it very sharp. You'll notice my strop is here. And every 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes of carving, I'll hit the strop and just give it a slightly fresh edge again. And that will allow it to cut easier and less chance of it moving. Next thing I want to do is outline the letters. And so I'm using another V-gouge and coming in and just outlining the very edges of it, cutting in a little bit deeper to define where they start and stop. And I'll leave a link to all of the chisels that I use down below if you want to see them. And this goes fairly easily. If you can follow a line with a pencil, you can do this as well. The next thing I want to do is actually give a surface texture inside the letters. And so I'm going to use a couple different gouges until I find one that I like. And I'm basically just running horizontal on the gray letter, and then I'll run vertical on the white letter, trying to give a little bit of difference between the two. And here I finally found the gouge I'm going to be using long term. This is a 2 cherries gouge, and I played back and forth with doing it freehand and using it with the mallet. I ended up using it with the mallet for most of it. The mallet gives you a little bit more control, less chance of running off the edge, but freehand is always a little bit more enjoyable. So here you can see me using it with the mallet and just kind of driving it across. So the gray lines I'm going to do horizontal, and then the white ones I'll come back through and do those vertical to give them a little bit of difference. So in different lights you'll see different letters popping out. And I kind of like the way it came out. I might change it a little bit in the future. I've thought about adding some filler to kind of lighten up the letters, but we'll see how that goes. Next thing I do is grab a scraper and clean off the pattern. And I actually really enjoy this. I kind of like it. The final step I'm going to do on this before finishing it is to scrape it with a card scraper. And so this is just getting close to the edge. And so I really like peeling the paper off with the card scraper. Not to mention it's a lot of fun. So yeah, this is what I like to do. Next thing is my favorite part, putting on the boiled linseed oil. And holy cow, this walnut burl just soaks it up and becomes so dark. Almost pure rich black, almost ebony. But I really like how it came out, and in different lights it has completely different hues and colors as that burl kind of spreads it out in different directions. So I'll put on boiled linseed oil and then paste wax, and it's basically done. The only thing I have to do is hang it on the wall. Speaking of which, let's get out the hanger and tap it on the back, and then we can cover up that horrible eyesore of an outlet by pounding in a nail and hanging it on. And there I have it temporarily. So I kind of like how this came out. I really like the simplicity of it, and I think it'll do well in the shop for a long time to come. There you have it. I finally have a logo in my shop. I love the walnut on this and how it came out. The burl is just beautiful. Up close, it's got so much detail and richness. And also doing the different carving directions really allowed the lettering to pop out a little bit better. I know the camera doesn't pick it up really well, but in person, it's really kind of cool. So I hope you like this video. It's a fairly simple one, and really a lot of people can get into carving who don't think they can. With just a few simple tools, anyone can do this. It is really not that difficult. So I hope you'd be willing to take on the challenge. Also, I want to say an incredible thank you to the patrons on Patreon. You guys are really the reason why I can keep putting out videos. If you'd like to help out or find out with that, you can do so down below. Also, if you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe to my channel or check out my second channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.